Over the weekend, the DCI made some arrests in connection with 4.8 billion oil scandal.
The nation was treated to a dramatic Easter holiday drama following the midnight arrest of 4 senior officials from the Ministry of Energy.
For ordinary citizens who wants nothing but accountability, this was a big win.
William Samuel Ruto leo na serikali yake wamearrest wezi watatu ati wameleta petroleum yenye sio mzuri.
But what if I told you that the arrests you saw over the weekend had nothing to do with fighting corruption?
The issue of arrests of the EPRA CEO and the Kenya pipeline and the PS for energy, and especially the petroleum part, it has very little to do with the welfare of Kenya.
What if I told you this was about just saving face to prevent a Maduro moment in Kenya?
USA ime-attack Venezuela, alafu the president wa Venezuela Maduro amekuwa captured yeye na wife yake.
In short, these arrests had nothing to do with safeguarding the interest of Mwananchi. They were triggered by a single phone call from Washington, D.C.
All this breaking news of Kenya Pipeline Company, the G2G government oil scandal, the arresting of the PS for energy and petroleum, all this was caused by a communique from Washington, D.C. 3 days ago.
A communication so terrifying to State House, they had to act, or else Trump would.
How corrupt is William Ruto's government for Donald Trump leadership to call them corrupt?
Those arrests and the circus around it is not a Kenyan fight.
Today, we expose the game behind the game. Let's go. If you love this kind of content, go ahead and like this video and subscribe. Now let's get to the video.
Sources privy to the ongoing investigation say the 4 entered into a plea agreement with the government, potentially shielding them from prosecution when the matter comes up in court on Tuesday.
Over the weekend, Kenyans woke up to shocking headlines: mass arrests, millions recovered, and anti-corruption breakthrough. At the center of it all, the Ministry of Energy. Names were paraded, homes were raided, cash, that is hundreds of millions, displayed like trophies.
As earlier mentioned, millions of shillings in cash was reportedly recovered from the homes of the energy officials.
And on the surface, it looked like progress. But if you understand Kenyan politics, you know one thing, that nothing ever happens by accident.
Niliona watu jana wakijiandikisha at now Ruto is fighting corruption. Ati amefuta akina Josang, managing director wa Kenya Pipeline Company, at he's serious in fighting corruption. Nikamwambia don't be stupid.
Because here is the truth. In Kenya, corruption is not exposed randomly. People are not arrested randomly. As a matter of fact, if there is something that happens so rarely in Kenya, is an arrest of a corrupt person. So you know, these people were sacrificed. And this time, we may just have discovered why.
We have a lot of people who are involved in corruption, but now simply because Donald Trump amesema mimi nataka kuona Kenya ikiwa imebadilika hapo, so William Ruto is doing these things.
According to emerging reports, there were growing pressure from the United States. Not just any pressure, but direct concern from the administration of Donald Trump. And a message was sent.
So this is what happened, Kenyans. The United States government has raised fresh concern over what it describes as a widespread corruption in Kenya, warning that the vice continues to undermine fair trade and investment. In the latest 2026 National Trade Estimate, the US government singled out corruption as a persistent challenge affecting its trade relations with Kenya. Na ripoti inasema hivi, Kenya, sikizeni hapa. President Donald Trump administration noted that the corruption in Kenya often manifests in custom processes, licensing procedures, awarding of the government tenders. Akamalizia akasema, the Trump regime revealed that the US firms continue to report direct and indirect requests for bribes from multiple levels of the Kenyan government, a move that depicts a worrying trend in the country's trade practices.
So when a global superpower expresses such concerns over your country, you don't just ignore it.
This is what wakubwa wamesema. So William Ruto is trying to, play some cards, that he is fighting corruption.
Now, think about this carefully. If you are Ruto and you're being watched internationally, what do? You act.
Hawa cartels ya mambo ya mafuta watakipata, hawawezi kuhepa.
But not to fix the system. You do it to control the narrative. So what happens? A few officials are arrested, Huge sums of money are found, headlines explode, and suddenly it looks like the government is fighting corruption. But in reality, what is happening is damage control, it's optics, it is just strategy.
Iliona watu jana wakijiandikisha at now Ruto is fighting corruption. Ati amefuta akina Josang, managing director wa Kenya Pipeline Company, at he's serious in fighting corruption. Nikawambia, don't be stupid. Ruto is the face of corruption in this country. In 2018, huyo managing director Josang was fired by Uhuru regime for being corrupt as hell. Yeye ndiye alikuwa anaendelesha all the mega corruption that were happening in Kenya Pipeline Company. Akafutwa. Ruto after kuchukua the government, akamwondrea zile makesi zote na akamfanya the managing director na akamwambia sasa kaa vizuri, ukule vizuri, uibe vizuri. I think this Kenya Pipeline Company is the biggest scandal to have ever happened in our country. Why am I saying so? Who was the whistleblower to the Kenya Pipeline Company scandal? No one. Are we together? Hao ndio walijiripua wenyewe. Why? Because walikuwa wanajua hii kama hii deal Wakenya watagundua, my friend, this Kenya will go into flames. Watu wataenda kwa street.
Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. When did all this happen? It was over the Easter weekend. At a time when Kenyans are traveling, they're celebrating, they are basically distracted. And what else was happening in this country over this weekend? A trending boxing match. In short, the national attention was elsewhere. This wasn't coincidence. This was timing.
Waka time when Kenyans had a boxing match organized by comedians so that Wakenya wengi wanaweza chotwa akili during over the Easter. Hiyo ndio deal itaripua. Kwa sababu wao wenyewe ndio walilipua that deal. Si ati mtu alihuisobro venye tulijua Adani, hao ndio walihuisobro wenyewe.
And then comes the biggest question. Where did the money go? Because reports now suggest that the money did not fully enter evidence system.
Of events has emerged with reports that the 500 million shillings recovered from the homes of the 4 suspects is missing. The money is said to have mysteriously vanished from police custody after the dramatic arrest that saw the 4 hounded out of office over petrol scandal.
And according to one Rigathi Gachagua, a senior government figure demanded full control of those funds.
Kwa kila bomo amepata pesa yote 500 million in cash. Imeenda pale, imewekwa kwa obi, uchunguzi inatakiwa ifanywe, ndio hiyo pesa ijulikane walitoa wapi. Because that money must be proceeds of corruption. Kasongo kusikia iko 500 million, amesema bana. Ile 500 million ilikuwa ya exhibit, amesema apelekewe.
Now ask yourself, if the system is clean, why hide the money? Why sacrifice small players while protecting those at the top? Because in Kenya, we all know that it is the small fish that are usually punished, while the big fish continue being protected and continue fattening.
You know, Kenyans, the person who oversees all these deals, ya Kenya Pipeline Company, all these trade deals, munaona, is the CS for Petroleum and Energy. That is Opio, anaitwa nani? Opio Wundanyi, ama Opio Wandai, that guy.
But removing key figures like the Energy CS could destabilize political alliances, especially those tied to regions like Luo Nyanza.
The fact that Opio Wandai has not been arrested, the fact even other issues like SHA keeps floating, no person has been arrested, tells you one thing. William Ruto is trying to show the goodwill, you know. I'm fighting corruption because look at the people who are fired. All of them are sacrificial lambs. A good number of them come from his community, so he has nothing to lose. But if he is going to fire Opio Wandai, then the Kenya Kwanza blah blah deal with, I don't know, the faction of the ODM is over. Because William Ruto knows Opio Wandai ataenda amushe ground yake wasimpe kura.
So instead, low-level officials are sacrificed, political balance is preserved, and the system stays intact. And the public is left believing that, finally, corruption is being fought.
Iliona watu jana wakijiandikisha at now Ruto is fighting corruption. Ati amefuta akina Josang, managing director wa Kenya Pipeline Company, at he's serious in fighting corruption. Nikawambia, don't be stupid. Ruto is the face of corruption in this country.
But let's be real for a second. How many times have we seen this story? How many major crackdowns have ended up with nothing changing? Meanwhile, young people are jobless, the economy is struggling, and billions keep disappearing.
Hii scandal ya importing substandard fuel imenikumbusha that in 2023, juzi tu, we had a humongous 17 billion oil importation scandal, and at the heart of this scandal was a businesswoman by the name Anjeri. Anjeri was laying claim to this importation, and everybody was like, Anjeri, how? We do not know you, Bana. We've never heard about you. We do not know any of your business. How can you make claim to a 17 billion oil importation? Like, everybody was shocked. And I remember the comment at that particular point, Energy and Petroleum CS, that was David Georgia, alisema that she faked her papers. And that story was so absurd because the judge at that particular point akamuuliza, oh madam, do you think uko money heist? Aliuliza hivyo na judge, does she think she's in money heist? So hiyo judge alikuwa anatupa claim yake nje. Like, your story going to make sense. And it just shows you that any scandals are oil ni mingi. He's not the first one.
So when you see arrests like this, you have to ask yourself, is this really justice or is it just another performance?
Pesa tu hivi, yani watu wanaiba pesa, mtu unakuwa comfortable unaweka 500 million in cash. Na kuna cabinet ministers wako involved kwa hii kitu. Hata watu wanataka kuona wakiwa wameresign.
Tonight we ask, how did irregular fuel waivers and billions in questionable imports happen under his watch? Was he unaware or complicit? KTN is in possession of letters showing the waivers on fuel quality were formally approved at cabinet level, decisions copied to his office.
If this was truly about ending corruption, we wouldn't just see arrests, then resignations. We would see accountability. And until that happens, this remains what it has always been. A game of sacrifice, a game of survival, a game of power.
Ati mtu anaresign, hata hajapelekwa mahali, anasema resign in advance. And that might be the also a reason why watu waliuza Kenya Pipeline Company. I'm telling you. It can be the reason why Kenya Pipeline Company was also sold to cover this mega deal that was done.
And the real question is, until when will these corrupt individuals continue stealing our future as we stay quiet?
No, because at this point, kungoja elections ni kujikaranga na mafuta yetu wenyewe.
Does the pressure always have to come from US or Trump for us to see some action?
Lakini mambo mengine ni mchezo wa tao. If indeed William Ruto can convince us, you need to fire the CS for Energy and Petroleum.
Anyways, I want to hear from you. Do you believe that these arrests are real or just another political theater? Drop your thoughts below and do not forget to subscribe.